That might have been the longest preseason game I've ever seen.
It was only 6.5 hours. It seemed like it. Was it 3.5 hours? What's the official time of game? Had to be 3.5 hours.
I'm going to get home the same time tonight that I did the last preseason game. I don't have to drive from Baltimore. I'm not joking.
Yeah, 3:24.
That was a long game.
That was, it was long and long.
Yeah. This is Eagle Eye Podcast. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. I'm sure a bunch of you have seen the game. Some of you haven't. So we'll try to explain everything as best we can that we saw tonight. Eagles ended up tying the Cleveland Browns 18-18. Special shout out to the NFL owners who a few years ago passed that rule that says no overtime in the preseason. I appreciate that. It would have been tough if we had to keep going.
I kind of wish there was overtime. I just like football. The more, the better.
You wanted this game to go to overtime?
Not really.
Okay. I was like, you might need to get checked on if that
Although
was the
Barrett
case.
said on the pregame show he wishes there were still 6 preseason games. By postgame show, he had said he wishes there were just 2.
Yeah,
Kind of came around a little bit. But yeah, it was look, there were some good things and there's some things I learned about some of the players, but that was a long slog.
It was, and honestly, part of the reason it was so long was because we had some significant injuries and there were long pauses. So we don't make light of that. Let's go through the injury list because there were some really scary ones out there. Tyree Cleveland and Moro Ojimo both had to leave on stretchers, on carts. The early news is good, feeling in all their extremities, but hopefully those guys are going to be okay.
Yeah, 2 really good guys. We just talked to Tyree on Tuesday after practice. He had that great catch down at the end of the practice right in front of us. And you've been talking to Moro every couple of days for your Surviving Camp series. Just 2 really good dudes. And, yeah, you know, glad to hear some initial good news and just hope for the best.
Yeah, we'll see if we get more updates at some point on those guys. But yeah, early returns are good. Movement in all their extremities. Moro actually gave a little wave on the cart as he left. It's always so shocking to me that an injury like that happens, and I mean the cart is barely past the end zone and play resumes. It's so shocking.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And there's no other way to do it. I mean, this is a game, and short of a DeMar Hamlin situation, you just play it. But it's always tough to watch.
I think I've told this story before, but I'll never forget being up at Lehigh for a training camp practice, full pads, live, and I think it was Corey Simon. He ended up being fine, but he was taken off the field in an ambulance. I mean, the ambulance actually came out on the field.
I was there for Mike Patterson. Was Corey Simon?
Mike Patterson had this is earlier than that, okay. But yeah, he had the brain AVM. That was really scary. Yeah. Thank God he was okay. But yeah, we were on the far field, like the far field that they didn't use that much, and I'll never forget the very next snap. And like everyone was shaking, like, and Andy called the team over, and and the very next snap, Correll Buckhalter just like tramples like 2 safeties and a linebacker, and I'm like, it takes a special sort of brand of insanity, I guess, to be able to just do. I mean, you have to be able to, because
if you don't, then you risk injury yourself.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to compartmentalize. Hopefully, those guys will be okay. We'll update you as soon as we hear more on them. Not the only injuries in this game. 4 other injuries. Zach McPherson looks like the other significant one. Have there been reports out there? I don't know. It was an ankle injury ruled out pretty quickly. Definitely didn't look good. We'll say that. He needed help getting to the sideline. And then he was carted immediately inside. There was no trip to the medical tent. So whenever you see that, definitely not good news.
Yeah, I don't see any. There could be something out there, but I think they might have had more injuries tonight than they did all last year.
Yeah, I mean and honestly, like the thing with McPherson, you might not think he's an important player, but he's a key special teams contributor. In the last 2 games, they've lost Sean Bradley and Zach McPherson, 2 of their better special teamers, on a special teams unit that isn't that good to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And
it makes you wonder about the roster spots. Like corner is deep. So one of those guys who's fighting for a job might be able to keep it, whether it's, McKee Gardner or Eli Ricks.
Mario Goodrich was the first name I kind of thought.
Yeah,
of.
and that makes sense positionally too. He's been playing in the slot an awful lot.
Right. And he can play outside as well, but yeah, he's been in the slot. I think he might be the beneficiary. Zach McPherson had a tough day.
He did even before that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great showing for him. He was playing on the outside. He during this week they pushed him back outside. He had a rough day before the injury, and then obviously got much, much worse. Josh Andrews, an ankle injury ruled out pretty quickly. I don't have more on that, but I didn't even see him get hurt.
Yeah.
Just ruled out. So don't know anything more about him. Olamide Zaccheaus, shoulder injury, questionable to return was his designation. And in this game, it's like a guy can be questionable to return, but he's not going to play anymore anyway.
Right.
If you have any kind of injury, they're going to hold you out. So he did jog back onto the sideline. That was a good sign. And then Nolan Smith, shoulder injury. They listed him as questionable to return. I talked to him after the game, and he said it was precautionary. He did say it stems from the pec surgery he had, which is he downplayed it as much as humanly possible, but it makes you think a little bit.
I mean, I love how he was like, I just really wanted to go back in the game, and they wouldn't let me. I mean, you gotta admire that, and admire the people that made sure he didn't.
Yeah, and honestly,
he was incredible before he got hurt.
Yeah, he was mad at himself. The play where it looked like he first got hurt was the third down play. He bent around the edge, almost got a sack. He was mad at himself. And then the very next play was a punt, and I can see his arm kind of like dangling. He said it was kind of like a stinger situation, and it looked like it, like, because he said there wasn't pain, but it was like not right.
Yeah.
And he stays out there for the punt. No one noticed that he was hurt, and then he played the next series. He's a gamer, but
yeah,
I'd like to be like, Nolan,
he is a gamer.
You got to take yourself out of the game there.
I think he's going to be really good.
He looked good again tonight, and we've seen flashes now in back-to-back preseason games, getting really close to sacks. He really wants it.
He forced some incomplete passes, and I mean, he can stay so low and turn that corner so quickly. He gets in the backfield just really, really fast. It's going to be tough. I mean, if he's healthy with these edge rushers, it's you see Teron Jackson getting some great rushes.
Yeah,
to do with all these guys.
He looked great. Important to remember with him, though, I don't know who their fourth string left tackle is, but he looked great. Yeah, absolutely. But Nolan's going to play a lot this year, and he certainly looks the part, and he is a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, and I think
how much of that interview did you guys get in post game before he got cursed?
Yeah, we had to cut it off.
Yeah,
he tends to be colorful, no matter what I mean, I've never heard him go more than 30 seconds without saying something that we can't show on TV.
Yeah,
so.
And it's always tricky in the locker room because we're feeding it back live. We have a little delay, so
yeah,
you got to dump him.
I love his personality. I think the city's going to just love this kid.
What did his hoodie say? Eat off the floor?
Yeah.
And it's a Georgia thing they started down there that are you hungry enough to eat off the floor?
I like it.
I told him I have like the whatever second rule. I'll eat it. Like something falls on the floor, I'll eat that. But I won't just eat off the floor.
Isn't there like a 3-second rule or
3
something?
second. I think I told him 7 second, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But still not eating off the floor.
Yeah. I just like dining.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They got all the sayings down there, either in
the SEC is just full of sayings.
Tuscaloosa and Athens, man.
Yeah.
They got all the.
Got to ask Zach Cunningham what Vanderbilt had going on. That's all the injuries. It was a long list of injuries. That's the one thing you don't want to see in a preseason game.
Yeah, and I think two things come to mind. One, anybody who thinks they should be playing starters, and a couple potential starters did play, but this is why we're not going to see Jalen or AJ or Devontae. It's just there's no reason to do it. And it just kind of really reinforces how, I guess, fortunate they were last year with injuries. I mean, Derek Barnett lost a couple guys for, Goddard for 5 games, GJ for 4 games.
Avante 3 times.
Avante a bunch of times, but wasn't a starter. Was kind of a de facto starter.
Avante's a starter.
Was a de facto starter.
Yeah.
Jalen for a couple games, but I mean, they were the healthiest team I've ever seen go to the Super Bowl with every opening day starter available.
Yeah.
That the odds are that's just not going to keep happening. So it's something else to overcome.
It is. That was rough, man. That blue tent got a lot of work tonight. You don't want to see that in the preseason.
No.
All right, let's talk about quarterbacks. But before we do, I always say this at the end. I should say it whenever we get a chance. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that like button, subscribe there as well. I always say it at the end. I'm going to start throwing them in every once in a while.
There you go.
Keep the people guessing. Right before we talk about quarterbacks, and we have to talk about Marcus Mariota. Concern level rising. That was not good. No. He finished 9 for 17 for 86 yards and an interception, passer rating of 42.8, and I don't think he was that good.
He was in single figures for a while there till Zacchaeus kind of took a short pass, went 17 yards to pad his stats a little, but it is concerning, and it's the same things that keep happening. He's just floating balls. He's sailing balls. His footwork's a mess. There's no zip on his passes. It isn't just like he's just floating the ball out there, and he's just missing guys that he really shouldn't miss.
Just why, like bad misses that like sometimes I'm not even sure who he's throwing to.
Yeah,
and look, he's not going to be an accurate passer. He's put 8 years on tape that says he's not an accurate passer. He's like 63% in his career. So it'd be foolish to think he's going to come here and be 68%, 70%, whatever. But you got to hit the layups.
Yeah.
The guy's wide open. You got to hit him. And look, he's behind not the starting offensive line. So
and they were terrible. The twos were really bad.
They were not good. So you have to think, in any situation where he would need to play in a regular game, theoretically he'd be behind a much better offensive line, throwing to much better players. Yeah. But still.
And I think if he had to start a game in November, I think he'd be okay. I mean, he still has. It seemed like they told him don't run today, which is
good because he was running too much last week.
The game would have been faster.
True,
because
the clock would have run a little bit.
Incomplete passes, but I thought for him to show that he has a mastery of the offense, he just got to stop running. He only ran once, and it looked like he was really trying to focus on the passing game, and it didn't go well, and that's concerning. My concern level is a lot higher than it was, especially when you see the progress that Tanner McKee has made, and I mean, you just watch them side by side, and you just see how quickly he's getting rid of the ball, how accurate he is, how he's driving it down the field. It should be the other way around. Mariota is the guy that looks like the 6th-round rookie, and McKee looks like the guy that's been in the league 8 years. Yeah,
I mean, just from me watching this game, I couldn't wait to watch Tanner McKee. Yeah. It was tough watching Mariota.
It really is. Do you remember a veteran coming in here? I mean, I guess like Nick Mullins was a veteran, not as experienced. He was terrible. He's still in the league, and who knows what happened here.
Well, I mean, like there were Foles moments that were really bad.
Yeah, some
people forget that. Like, I mean, everyone thinks of him now as this incredible backup, but like there were moments in even 17 when he looked awful.
Yeah, and Michael Vick was like the worst preseason quarterback ever. He just didn't care. He just would go out there and fling it. But yeah, this strikes me as different.
A little bit. Yeah. And it's a carryover of what we've seen all summer.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so concerning.
We've seen like 2 or 3 good practices from Mariota. Yeah. And it was right when they changed the second-team offensive line. So you thought, okay, there were factors that were not controlled by him. And once he changed those, he got better. But this was rough.
His pocket presence is so bad.
Yeah, some of the offensive. You're right. The offensive line wasn't good, but some of those sacks were on him. How many times was he sacked?
16. No, 3.
3.
I think when you're a veteran like that, look, every quarterback's gonna be under pressure at some point. You got to know how to respond. Throw the ball away. And he wasn't doing that. It was concerning. I mean, the question everyone's going to be asking is, can he be 3? You can't cut him. $5 million dead money. They're not going to do that. Can he be 3 and McKee 2? I just don't think Nick would ever do that.
Yeah, and Nick was asked about it, right?
No, if he was, we didn't carry that.
Okay. Yeah, I was in the locker room. I think he was. But, I don't think there's any way they would do it. I don't think they can do it. But I will say this. If they ever get into a situation in the regular season where Jalen has to miss extended time and Mariota plays like this, they're going to have no choice.
Right.
You can't stick with him if he plays like this.
I also think,
in a regular season game, I don't think he would play like
I
this.
also think there might be a point during the season where all of a sudden McKee's 2. Like,
I don't think that would happen.
I think it could.
No, I don't think they would do that.
I think, well, yeah, I mean, I think Mariota would probably have to play poorly in the regular season for that to happen. That's true. Maybe 2 really bad starts. But then at that point, you're like, well, and I know, I mean, look, it's tempting to say, make McKee number 2. He's doing so many things better. He's also playing against 3s where Mariota's playing against 2s, which isn't a huge difference, but it is a difference. But he's so much sharper. He's so much cleaner. The whole operation is cleaner, getting rid of the ball faster and just so accurate and driving it down the field. I mean, there's nothing that Mariota is doing better than McKee right now. And, for Mariota to stand up there and say, it's a learning experience. Well, why is it learning experience for him? And the other kid the kid who's the rookie, who's 23, can go out there and operate the offense so efficiently?
Yeah. It's a good question. He wasn't running tonight, which is a big part of his game. Like, I don't want to, and you don't want to see him run in the preseason. So maybe that's a part of it.
I feel really confident thinking that they told him, look, just stay in the pocket and try to find open receivers. Probably. And Nick really covered for him.
He should.
Yeah, he should. He did the right thing.
Yeah.
He said,
it doesn't do him any good to say, like, we all know he was bad.
Yeah.
He's going to try to build this guy up. He might need him.
He said, we're all working together to try to figure out what he likes and what he does best. I mean, he's throwing the ball 10 feet over people's heads. It's like not a secret. But yeah, I mean, and Nick I don't think Nick would ever put Tanner in that position either, where, I mean, there's a big difference between throwing to Joseph Nagata and Jaden Hazelwood, whoever it is, against the 3s in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, then going out and playing the 49ers or the Cowboys or the Bills. And like it or not, Mariota's played 5,000 snaps in his career.
Yeah, he's the backup. He's going to be the backup.
He has to be.
But the only thing I will say is Tanner McKee has shown me enough that I think there's a very good chance he's the backup next year.
I agree.
And that's not nothing, because they're paying Mariota a lot of money to be the backup. If in year 2 of his 4-year rookie contract as a 6th-round pick, you feel good enough about McKee being the backup, that is a home run. Yeah.
It's a grand slam.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they have something with him.
He had a terrible O-line at Stanford. He didn't have receivers. You got to hand it to Howie. I mean, he finds these guys in the late round. And again, I don't get too far ahead of ourselves because it's 2 preseason games, but I've seen enough to think he's got a really good chance to be an NFL player for several years. And, I mean, at worst, Nate Sudfeld's in his, 8th year? 8th year. Yeah. At worst.
They didn't draft Suddy.
No, but he was drafted.
Yeah.
I think 5th round. 5th or 6th.
6th round, I think.
Yeah. And he had some really good preseason games. But yeah, Nick would never put McKee in that position. But I'll tell you what, if he was a 2nd-year guy playing like this, he might. Yeah,
or even if he was a higher draft pick, which probably isn't fair.
Right.
If he was a 3rd-round pick doing this.
Yeah. I love his mental makeup too. You can see his leadership in the huddle.
He looks the part.
And were you in there for his presser?
No, I was in the locker room.
Wow. I mean, he comes off so smart, so confident, so self-assured, and so thoughtful, just breaking down different plays in the game. And I mean, really, really impressive stuff. He's got a lot going for him. Yeah. 6th round.
You know what he doesn't have going for him? He might want to buy some of those receivers a gift basket. They keep dropping the balls he throws right in their hands.
Yeah, he had about He had about 4 drops.
He had a bunch last week too.
I'll tell you what.
Do you think that after Mariota, they're like so surprised that the ball hits their hands that they're not catching it?
There was a play where he sprint action to the right and off play fake, and then throws across his body to Deion Kane, and he dropped it. I mean, it wasn't right. I mean, it was a little. He had to go up, but he should have caught it. Should have been a touchdown. That was such a sweet play.
There were a bunch of plays like that.
Yeah.
He was dropping dimes out there.
He was.
He looked great.
I mean, the one to the tight end whose name I don't remember at the end, but I have it in front of me.
Brady Russell.
Yeah. That one and the 2-point conversion to Johnny King. I mean, those are big time.
Yeah, that was a tough throw to Johnny King. He had another throw to Johnny King on a slant that was great. It was a great catch by Johnny King, but it was a perfect throw.
Well, I expect nothing less from Johnny King.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm excited to watch him in the 3rd preseason game.
Yeah. Yeah.
No snaps for Ian Book.
Yeah, somebody asked Tanner about competition. He's like, yeah, right now I just want to make the team. I'm like, dude,
I think you got that sealed up, buddy.
Like Ian Book could go 30 for 30 next week, and you're number 3.
We good on quarterbacks?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and then we'll get into the rest of everything else we saw after. Catch all the sports action and more at Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Whether it's the money line or the pass line, there's something for everyone in a great sports book. Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Philly loves a winner. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. How do you want to do this? You want to just say some good things and then we'll say some bad things?
Sure,
and we'll get out of here?
That works for me.
All right. Tell me something good you saw.
I really loved the way Christian Ellis played. And
I did too.
When they signed Cunningham and Miles Jack, I'm thinking like it's kind of like, all right, and because I think Ellis flattened out a little bit, and he got off to a great start. So you're thinking, all right, one of those veterans is going to be the starter opposite Nakobe, but Ellis was all over the place tonight, and he's really shows up in coverage. He can cover. I mean, we know he's a beast against the run, and he's always in the right place. He's really smart. He was so active tonight. I love the way he played. He
played well. I'll tell you what, I thought Zach Cunningham looked fine too, though. Yeah, I think it might just come down to those two because Miles Jack is buried on the depth chart. He was playing at the end, like the last snap next to Ben Van Sumeren. That's not good.
Yeah.
And he got first team reps
when he first
got here. Yeah. Cunningham has clearly passed him. I think the other jobs
bad for us.
Bad for us. Miles Jack is a better quote. That's right.
Yeah.
Did talk to Zach Cunningham a little bit after the game, though. He's starting to feel comfortable, especially playing next to Nakobe, which is another good thing from this game. Just seeing him out there, and then that play he made on the forced fumble was a big play.
Big play, and man, he looked quick getting back there. And
super instinctive, aggressive. And we talked about like all summer just wanting to see flash plays from him. Haven't seen any flash plays, and he puts one on tape right away.
Yeah, and I mean, we just haven't seen him play football.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's probably the most tonight. I don't know how many snaps he played. It's probably the most he's played since college. Has to be, unless he played a bunch of mop-up snaps in a preseason game last year. But I think we saw a side of him we really haven't seen. Just that playmaking. I was never concerned about him, but you wanted to see it. You wanted to see him show up, and even that personal foul. I mean, he's going 100 miles an hour.
That was a tough one to hold up on.
Oh, it was impossible. Yeah, I think Edmonds kind of hit him, and he changed direction. And
I can't really fault him too much. I didn't think the call was bad, but it was just like a tough thing.
It was unavoidable. Yeah, but I just like how fast he plays. How, I think he's got a chance to. I think he got a chance to be a really good player, and I like how he plays really, really fast. But he's also very, very smart. But like he's so smart, he can process things in a hurry. Yeah. And like that forced fumble kind of demonstrated that. I mean, that play. He broke that. He got that thing, really, really quick. And Kayvon with a nice recovery. But I'm glad he played. I didn't think he was going to play, and I think he needed to, and I'm glad he did. And I feel better about him now than I did 7 hours ago at kickoff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just wanted to see him. So crazy. We're here talking about good linebacker play from this game, but yeah, I think that's fair. I thought we mentioned Teron Jackson a little bit. I thought he flashed. I thought Janarius Robinson flashed.
Yeah, he did.
A little bit.
Yeah. He's a guy who's been around. I mean,
I think there's a chance he makes the team.
I do too.
He's probably above Teron Jackson.
Probably. I like Teron Jackson tonight.
He was good.
He looked fast.
You know what's funny? Before the game, a few of us in the press box were like just trying to pick a star of the game. And I said Kyron Johnson because I figured, he'll get a lot of fourth quarter reps, like all the reps Teron Jackson got. I didn't see him. I don't think he was at the game. I don't know what happened. I got to dig into that, but hard to be player of the game if you're not there.
You didn't see him on the sideline at all?
I did not.
Huh.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. Anything else?
I thought Kayvon was really active.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a really nice play on that. I think it was like a second and 7.
What'd you make of him playing so late in the game?
It was surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Like, here's a guy we think might be competing for a starting job. I look up in the fourth quarter and he's out there.
I have one theory is that do they want to? Well, first of all, I think they just want to see because like Edmonds was playing pretty late too,
Mm-hmm.
not quite as late, but I think they just want to see these guys as much as possible.
Maybe they don't have a ton of bodies either.
And what's interesting is Justin Evans has not done anything at practice, but in both games
he looks better.
Yeah, he looks better.
And why are they throwing random defensive back? This
punt return.
That punt return. Last week was Zach McPherson. Tonight was Justin Evans.
He had a nice one too. He had like a 15-yarder.
He did, and he fumbled it
out of bounds.
Yeah.
If they're thinking, I mean, Covey's hurt, so obviously he's not going to practice. He's not going to play. But if they're thinking maybe we want to keep Joseph Nagata,
there is no chance Justin Evans ever returns a punt in a regular season game
in the NFL
for this team this year.
Oh, it's probably very unlikely.
No way he.
But are they? Do you think do you think Britton Covey's 100%?
Roster lock?
Yeah.
No. I think he'll be on the roster.
I do too.
Not a 100% roster lock. He was pretty good in the second half of last season.
He's like the last 10 games.
He's their best option. Their only other options are Greg Ward, who's not going to be on the roster.
Right.
Olamide is an option.
Yeah. I think he had one tonight, right?
He had one for 11 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good on it.
Looks fine.
Yeah.
But I still think Covey's is their best. I still think Covey's going to be on the team.
I mean, you're not going to get anything on offense from him, but you probably wouldn't from whoever the fifth receiver is anyway.
Yeah, that fifth guy has to be a special teamer.
Yeah.
Which is why Tyree Cleveland is intriguing because he's played a lot of special teams in his career.
Yeah.
Anything else good?
What else good? Did we talk about Tanner McKee yet?
Thought Contavious Street flashed a little bit.
Who's that?
Contavious Street. Yeah.
He did. He could have had an interception.
He almost had. He's going to be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah. I like the way Trey Sermon bounced back from that fumble.
Yeah, I'm doing my stock up, stock down. I had him firmly in stock down, and he had the nice touchdown.
Yeah, and Jalen came over and talked to him after the fumble, and
it wasn't just a fumble. He had a terrible rep in pass pro, gave up a sack.
Yeah. But once he got in the open field, man, he looked fast and strong, and it was a nice run. He had a couple other good runs on that one drive. I think it was the first drive of the third quarter. He's not going to make the team, but he put some good film out there.
Yeah. You definite he's not making a team?
No, I don't think anything's definite yet.
Okay.
But who's he going to beat out?
The only guy possible is Boston, I would think.
Yeah, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
And I like Rashad Penny. I think Rashad Penny can play.
I thought he showed. He only had a couple carries. I thought that one he had. What do you have? Like a 12?
Yeah.
Today.
16.
16.
He went 2 for 18.
That was a nice run.
I've seen it now in back-to-back weeks. I've seen enough from him.
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Bubble wrap him.
Yeah,
get him in the season.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Anything else? Oh, we saw that big Tyree Jackson catch.
Yeah,
that was good.
Let me ask you: do you think is Grant Calcaterra a lock?
No, but
has he done anything this summer?
Yeah, early in training camp. The first week or so of training camp, he was catching a ton of passes.
Yeah, that's so long ago. That was like a year ago.
It counts.
Yeah. I just wonder if Tyree's got a shot.
Maybe. I think they're going to show some deference to their draft pick.
Probably. But I think Tyree's going to give you a little more on the line of scrimmage. He's not a great blocker, but he's
big at least.
Functional blocker.
You got to go around him.
Yeah. Interesting thought.
I'll give you one more good note. Actually, no, I'll save the last good note because we should end on a good note later.
Okay.
Let's get to the bad. We already mentioned a bunch of Mariota. Give me something else that you didn't like tonight.
Something else I didn't like. Well, I mean, one guy we haven't really talked about. I mean, the whole second O-line, but Jack Driscoll's a guy who started 16 games in the league. He was a 4th-round pick. He's in his 4th year. He hasn't had a great camp. He hasn't had a good camp, and he was really bad tonight. And
I thought Josh Sills struggled too.
Yeah, but he did, but I'm just more surprised at Driscoll's whole summer, I think.
Yeah.
For a guy who's been here 4 years and has started some games and done okay, functional starter, backup. He was really bad and has been. I was disappointed in him.
Keely Ringo really had trouble tracking the football.
Yeah, that one went right by him.
He just stopped. He had no idea where the ball was.
He didn't.
And if you don't know where the ball is, go with the receiver.
Yeah.
It was a really strange play.
It was.
And it's not the first time this summer I've seen him kind of get lost in coverage.
Yeah.
He has great physical tools, but he's shown me he's far from a finished product.
Yeah.
Like I came into camp wondering if he could be their top backup outside corner. That job obviously belongs to Josh Jobe at this point. But yeah, Ringo, very raw. You see why he wasn't like a 1st-round pick.
Yeah, no doubt. And for every really, really good play, he's made some really good plays.
Mm-hmm.
There's
like highs and lows with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of another good, but we'll finish this part.
Okay. Give me another bad. You have another bad? We're doing this like the most rudimentary. You say good thing, I say good thing. You say bad thing, I say bad thing. I'll give you another bad thing. You want one?
I don't think Ty Zender's very good.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
He had 5 punts for 199 yards. You know how hard it is to punt the ball 5 times and not have 200 punting yards?
Well, he was only one short. But yeah, you can't average under 40 yards.
His long was 44.
Yeah, but it was an imposing 44.
And he got all the work tonight. This was the Ty Zentner game. This was his chance, and it was bad.
Yeah, it was ugly. He's not very good.
He's not. The problem is,
near's the other guy.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to my guns.
I think you might be right. I'm coming around on that.
Their punters.
I mean, if it has to be one of these guys, it's going to be Sipos.
Sure.
But
yeah,
it can't be Ty Zentner.
No.
Even though we did hold for a 56-yard field.
Yeah, he can hold. Maybe you keep on just as a holding specialist.
He can kick off, too.
Yeah. Just can't kick
can't
field
punt, which is the
punt. Yeah, it's terrible.
Big thing.
Eli
Ricks bounced back. He had a pass breakup, but he slipped a couple times out there.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Don't know. He slipped on that touchdown.
Yeah, that was ugly.
That was a touchdown, right?
I don't know. That was like 17 hours ago. My boy Devin Allen had a couple catches.
He did.
The Olympian with World Championships coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a touchdown. It was the back shoulder ball, and he slipped.
Yeah.
In the 3rd quarter.
World Championships start on Saturday at 10 in the morning in Budapest, which is 4 in the morning here.
Do you have any other bad?
I'll be watching.
Do you have any other bad?
No, not really. Not really any bad. It was good to see Brady Russell get a touchdown.
Okay.
I wonder how many fans there knew who the heck that was.
Good lettuce on that kid. Great head of hair.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Did you say you had another good thing?
Yeah, on that touchdown, I think it was the one where Rick slipped. Sidney Brown came out of nowhere and stripped the ball. And it was after he was in the end zone. It didn't count, but I just like the hustle. I like the effort. I appreciate that.
He had one big hit in this game.
He did. Yeah. One
of his first snaps. I think it was the second snap he was out there. It was down the field, but it was a big hit. I like that. I thought Moro Ojomo looked good again before the injury.
Yeah.
He's flashed now in the 2 preseason games.
He's also gotten hurt in both of them, right? You get poked in the eye. Was that the first?
No, that wasn't the game. That was a practice.
Yeah.
That was a one-on-one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hope these guys are all okay.
Yeah. Because the 2 guys who had the serious neck injuries were fighting for roster spots.
Right.
So,
right.
And I think Cleveland probably wasn't going to make the team. I think Ojomo is on the team if he's healthy.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's not ideal.
Yeah.
I had one other good note. Yeah.
I thought Marlon Tuipulotu played pretty well.
He's had a good camp. He's on the team.
He's on the team.
Yeah, he's the backup nose tackle.
He's the backup
and
nose.
I don't know if that's the best spot for him, but at least like he can play the one tech when they're in a 4-man.
I feel like he's. I know you were higher on him than I was for how he played last year, but I feel like he's come a long way. I think he's. And he was a late round pick too. What was he, a 6?
He was a 6. Yeah.
This roster
at USC.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought he played well.
Yeah, I talked to Tracy Rocker last week, and he was asked about the backup nose tackle, and yeah, he's the only one they have because Noah Ellis has kind of had a disappointing camp.
Yeah,
and they don't really have another pure nose tackle.
No, they don't.
They have some guys who can kind of play there, but well, let me ask you one other question I just thought of. What'd you make of Jordan Davis playing in this game? He was the one guy I was surprised to see. He didn't play long, but I was surprised to see him in uniform.
Yeah, I wasn't. I don't know. I was surprised too. Unless Nick just wants him to. I don't know.
He was the one guy I looked at and I said, why is he playing?
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Because like Jalen, he's the only guy who could be a starter who was playing in this game.
Well, N'Kobe.
Yeah, other than N'Kobe, of course.
Yeah, and Tanner.
Okay. Speaking of starters, though, my other good note.
Yeah.
See Jalen Hurts catch?
Yeah, it was sweet.
On the sideline? Well, that was the highlight of the game.
And you see the throw he made up to that woman in the stands?
Yeah, so Kellen Mond threw an errant pass. And by the way, our buddy Chris Sims a couple years ago had Kellen Mond higher than Jalen Hurts on his quarterback ranking.
But it was good to see the two of them connect.
Yeah, connect on that one. Jalen was wide open. He hit him.
He went up and got it.
It was a good catch by Jalen. He put his arms out in celebration. Then he turns around, flings the ball up into the stands, and then there was an MVP chant.
And that pass by Jalen to that woman in the stands was better than any throw Mariota made today.
Hard to argue that.
It was.
Damn.
Sad but true.
All right. Well, this has been.
Got to really hope he doesn't get hurt.
The second preseason game. We got one more to go.
Yeah.
Next Thursday against the Colts. I think it's an 8:00 start, so we'll be here even later.
Yeah.
Maybe they can ask. I'll ask Nick to run the ball a little bit.
I think today was like 35 passes, 18 runs, or something like that.
Yeah. Let's run that ball. Let's run that clock.
35-18.
A little bit. So next, the Eagles
Browns threw 49 passes. You know, the Browns ran 83 plays.
Oh, wow.
I think it was 83 plays. There's 142 plays in this game.
And all of them were riveting.
We got to get to the regular season, Dave.
We will soon enough. But
24
first,
days.
We have
days.
practice on Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
No practice Monday. Tuesday, joint practice with the Colts. Wednesday, walkthrough. Thursday, final preseason game. Then a few days later, final cuts. And then this regular season right around the corner.
Yeah, and they have the 2 weeks off now. They got rid of the fourth preseason game, which I like. They're going to have a few days off in there.
Yep.
And then get back on the practice schedule, and here we go. It's coming. It's getting there.
Can't wait. All right, if you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button, subscribe there as well. All right, that's it for Rube. I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye. We will talk to you soon.